when I tried to do some intelligence on you?
Yeah, I usually go by Sanders Ward.
Okay, well then we can do that.
Okay, thank you.
What ward is?
Hey, Brianna. Thanks for joining. She's there.
And you all have some impressive resumes.
My resume
yours is extensive, Miss History Maker. I'm gonna mention that.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to mention this since you mentioned history makers. I'm in the Library of Congress now.
Oh, are you?
Yes.
Let me add that.
Everyone that was in the history makers, they are all in the Library of Congress. I'm also in the Smithsonian Institute because I was chosen by the DeSable Museum as one of the 5 most outstanding Black women. So I'm in the Smithsonian Institute and Library of Congress. My husband would be shocked if he was, I hope he knows about it because he would be very proud of me.
Oh.
I was married to a very special Black man. He was out.
Kia, my Zoom keeps going out. Is that me or is it?
It might be you.
I've never had this before, so that's why I'm wondering. I mean, I'm 5G.
Okay. Yeah, it should be. I think it might be something maybe with your connection.
I'm wondering why, because
Well, we can hear you fine.
I've got, okay. But it just went out and then it came back in.
Huh.
So I just want to make sure. Okay. Just want to make sure. I'll plug up my computer.
Okay.
I saw the Ohio State. I know to put the there. Since I went to Purdue, I understand.
You don't have to put the in front of it. I think everybody
says
I know everybody says it, but every faculty member, every time we hear it, we're like,
the Ohio State University. I'm like, okay. I have Illinois State. My sister went to Illinois State. Love Illinois State. But you went to Arizona State also, and U of I in Urbana-Champaign. So you got it all covered.
Yeah, that's my mama. Hey, Mom.
There's someone down. This person wasn't here on the left-hand side. Down. I didn't see her before.
Oh, Miss Millie, most of the people are going to be coming in are just listening. So you won't be talking with them. You'll just be talking with the panelists, with Vershawn.
Okay, all right. I'm new to this. I'm not this computer age and stage. So but I'm forced to be in it. And I need to get a little wiser, hipper, okay? But I'm so busy with stuff. I've had people are asking me to write a book in the process of that. Everyone wants to hear what I don't know if I'm going to insult Black women or but I'm definitely in their corner. But I don't believe in bullshit. So you can. I'm sorry.
I told her she couldn't curse.
Right.
Donna, look who I found.
Oh, hey, how are you?
All right, everybody. So it's 6 o'clock. I just wanted to get started by introducing Miss Donna Coaxum. Miss Donna is our moderator for the evening. I just pulled up a short bio. I hope I don't embarrass you, Miss Donna. Her bio was very long. I found a little excerpt. So Donna is the Chief Legal Officer and Chief Compliance Officer of OSI Group, LLC. She's worked as an attorney for Kraft Foods, Oscar Mayer, Roebuck, Towers, Willis Watson, and throughout the private sector. Prior to her legal career, Donna also worked as a licensed CPA. She's a board member for OSI Group Foundation, Maya on a Mission non-for-profit. She's an advisory board member for Reimage Beauty Company, a mentor with Links Unlimited, and co-chair of the Arts Committee at the Lakeshore chapter of Links Incorporated. Ms. Donna is a published author and has been featured in Crane Business, Profile Magazine, and Ebony Magazine. She's a wife and a proud mother to a senior at Brown University and a huge supporter of Chicago's dance community. So thank you so much for being here with us, Ms. Donna, and I'll let you go ahead and take it from here.
Okay, thank you. I'm excited, but my daughter did graduate from Brown, so she is an employed.
Oh my God.
So yay.
And what was her major?
Her major was international relations, political economy, and then she speaks Mandarin, fluent Mandarin. So yeah.
I'm sick of you. But I know you are proud. That's what a gift.
Yes, she could pay her own bills. I'm happy. Yes. So I'm excited today to moderate. Thank you, Kia, for giving me the opportunity to talk to this esteemed group of women about dance and about their lives and careers. And I want to introduce the panelists. And what I'm going to do is just give you a little blurb of what I found. And then I'm going to ask each panelist an opening question, which is, what has been the driving force behind your career? So let me start with Laina Carney. Laina Reese Carney is a choreographer, educator, and performer of dance. She received her MFA in dance performance and pedagogy, as well as her certificate of study in feminist methodologies and sexualities from Arizona State University. Ooh. Her BFA was earned at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, and she recently completed a master's thesis. She just done a lot. So I'm going to do that as an opening introduction and ask you to give us a brief synopsis in answering my opening question: what has been the driving force of your career?
All right, thank you so much, Don. that was lovely. So I would say, to put it in a short way, let's see, the driving force of my career has definitely been the interdisciplinary studies that I've been interested in. I'm really interested in film, dance, and theater, and how I kind of culminate my interest in all of those. I would say academia was something that I wasn't sure I was interested in at first. I really just wanted to perform and choreograph, and I really wanted to dive deeper into it when I did get my MFA. And then publishing my master's thesis was definitely one of the driving forces of my career, and deciding that I was really interested in pedagogy and decolonizing curriculum in higher ed and dance. So that has been the driving force thus far. I'll talk a little bit more later about all of those things, but that's where I'll start. Thank you.
Oh, that's great, because when we get to decolonizing curriculum, I'm definitely going to ask Miss Millie to actually chime in on that. But let me just talk about Miss Millie Cruzat. She is a Chicagoan you should know. If I say history maker, you say Miss Cruzat. If I say present in the Library of Congress, you say Miss Cruzat. If I say in the Smithsonian, you say Miss Cruzat. If I say trained at the American School of Ballet at Carnegie Hall, you say Miss Cruzat. If I say Joseph Holmes Dance Company, Tony Wilson Dance Company, ballet instructor, Broadway performer, television performer, and someone who has devoted her life to fostering the development of African-American children through dance and fitness, you have to say Miss Millie Cruzat. So welcome. We're glad to have you here. And I want you, please, to tell us what has been the driving force behind your career.
Oh, these young ladies I'm with, it's a different time, a different place. I was 1927. We weren't supposed to dance. We weren't supposed to sing. We were black. We were supposed to be pickaninnies, coons, niggas, all of that. And I didn't know what all that meant at that time because I didn't hear it a lot until I was in Montgomery, Alabama, living with my aunt, and lived on, on Highland Avenue, where the bus that Rosa Parks rode on. I lived on that street when I was 4 years old. And little white boys came from the school that they went to, a brick schoolhouse. I went to another type of school, but the first thing the little white boy said to me was, nigger. Startled me. I never heard the word nigger because I'm from Detroit. I just didn't hear it. But I looked at his face and it looked like trouble. What motivated me? I wanted to show them. I wanted to show them when I was young. I had many passions, but my mother made the way because she exposed us to art, music, and a good family background. We weren't rich, we were poor. But what she gave me was a wealth. She gave me many, many things. And one of my favorite is common sense. And that's what I got. I could say more, but I saw my sister had to pass to go to a ballet school, 1934. My mother wanted her to take ballet, but there was no ballet school she had. She had to go to a white school. I don't think the children today even have an idea about that. They don't have an inkling. They don't have it. They take everything for granted. But I don't. I am the luckiest Black woman sitting here because of my lifestyle and my venture that I had growing up. Because I grew up with Jewish people. And the thing about Jewish people, they never call you a name. They didn't call me nigger, black, none of that. They just want to know, what could I do? I can go on, but I won't. I want to hear from other people.
Can't hear you.
You're on mute, Donna.
Oh, sorry about that. I'm going to come back to you, but now I want to introduce Crystal Michelle Perkins. She's a choreographer, teacher, and performer who served as Associate Artistic Director of the internationally renowned Dayton Contemporary Dance Company. Previous to her appointment, she was a dancer with the Dayton Contemporary Dance Company's professional touring company for 9 seasons. She served as resident choreographer and was charged with maintaining an extensive repertoire of master works by beloved African-American choreographers, including works by Donald Byrd, Donald McHale, Diane McIntyre. She's built a distinct body of choreographic work. Crystal, the floor is yours.
Thank you for that lovely introduction. It makes me so nervous sometimes to hear the running list of things in your bio that kind of describe you. I think the question was, can you give me a question one more time? It was like, what's the driving force?
What has been the driving force of your career?
I really think about love of culture, love of craft, and love of service. A lot of people define their career as starting, when you start teaching or when you start performing professionally. But I think all of those seeds were started in me really early in the first classes that I taught at the church that I grew up in the American South, in the gospel tradition that has changed over time. I've changed as an artist over time, but everything I've done, whether it's making, teaching, participating, learning repertory, setting repertory, space making, it's really about the love of the craft and Black bodies dancing. And anytime that I can do that, that drives me to new spaces, new areas, new pieces, new communities. And so that's what I'm focused on.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And last but certainly not least is Vershawn Ward. She is a movement artist and founder and artistic director of Red Clay Dance Company based in Chicago, Illinois. She is a native of Chicago. I should have said Vershawn Sanders Ward. I stand corrected. She holds a MFA in dance from New York University. And so you have the connection with Miss Cruzat with the New York connection. And she has a BFA in dance from Columbia College in Chicago. Her work has been presented at festivals in New York, San Francisco, Chicago, Kalamazoo, Toronto, Senegal, Kampala, Uganda, and there is another one that I'm just going to try to pronounce. It's Hubab Diallo. Close enough. And the Yard at Martha's Vineyard. She is a 2017 Dance USA Leadership Fellow, a 2013 Arts Awardee, and recipient of a 2009 Choreography Award from the Harlem Stage, New York City, for the creation of her solo work, New World African, which premiered at the Dance Transmissions Festival in Uganda. Welcome, Vershawn Sanders Ward.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm very honored to be here. I'm very grateful to Kia for the invitation, and to sit on the panel with such amazing women, artists, and just fellow workers in the field. For me, what has really driven my career, I will say, first and foremost, were my grandmothers. Both my grandmothers worked. One worked at home and one worked outside of the home. But their labor was something that was not lost on me growing up. I spent a lot of time with my maternal grandmother. Both of my parents are from Mobile, Alabama, so that is very that experience and that connection to those memories really fuels my work, and knowing what strong women they were and how they showed up for their families and they showed up for their community is what drives me as just being a mother, a wife, a artist, and all of the things, you know, that we sit in as women in the world. I feel like the shift happened for me in wanting to really pursue dance making and art making as a career was the opportunity that I had to travel to Toubab Diallo, Senegal. It was a school started by a woman named Germaine Uncogny. And when I saw what she had been able to build in that small fishing village, I was amazed to see two dance spaces housing a kitchen, like everything that you would need for an artist residency. So that experience, that was my first time visiting Africa, going back to the continent. But the economic impact that she brought to that village and bringing artists from around the world, literally from Australia to Japan, I wanted to create something like that in my hometown. And so in starting Red Clay Dance, those two things came together. So this understanding of being rooted in my history of my family, and then understanding the cultural heritage that I come from, that my ancestors come from, and how can I bring that back to the artists here in Chicago, as well as the young people that we work with. So those are the two driving forces and what continue to drive me as an artist.
You're on mute again, Miss Donna. So sorry.
Yeah, I'm trying not to disturb people, so I mute myself so you can get the full flavor of what she's saying. But let me just say thank you for that, Vershawn. And let me start with another question for you. After first congratulating you on your new dance space, as I understand it, you opened a new space. So can you tell me a little bit more about that space and the kinds of programming that we can expect from you for the community?
Sure. Yeah, we are in the process of opening. This will be our first space of our own. We've been operating through partnerships in different spaces around the city and kind of moving around to find a home. So um, this is the first time that we will really have our own space to not only produce the work that Red Clay does, having rehearsal space and in the studio space to support that, but it'll also be a community space. And for me, what is just essential, I think essential right now is to really deepen and understand our African diasporic movement practices. So understanding the breadth and the depth of those movement vocabularies that we own, that comes from our culture, being able to reclaim a lot of what has been co-opted from other cultures of our culture. But I want it to be a place where you can come and experience Afro-Cuban, Afro-Brazilian footwork, like the whole gamut of all the movement practices that we've created in the diaspora, so outside of or off of the continent. So while I love traditional African dance and I value and want to know that history, I think we need to also know that we've created as Black people so much since we were taken from the soil, and that culture and those movement practices need to be elevated, and our young people need to know those things and to value the dance forms that they are making every day. So that's what I want the space to be, and in a place where aspiring dancers can come and train and have mentorship, and have someone to really help guide them through making decisions about career, making a decision about teaching, or however they want to use their art. That's a space that it is. So it's for Red Clay, but it's also very much for our community as well.
Miss Donna, you're muted.
Sorry, I'm trying to be respectful. But anyway, let me move on to Crystal. I had said before that you built a distinct body of choreographic work. Can you talk a little bit about where your work comes from and offer any advice for dancers looking to pursue a career in choreography?
Oh, I'm going to back into it. The advice for dancers to pursue a career in choreography is start making. I think behind that question is a like, who do you know and what network do you build? But I have always thought less about that, particularly as a Black woman making. There's more opportunity now than perhaps there were a few years ago. And if I was kind of waiting to be linked into a particular network, I never would have started making. I never would have. There are examples of folks, but there, one or two got to be the person that was tapped. So that's the first thing. Start making, start listening to your visions, your dreams, your ancestors, your elders. Learn how to listen to your instincts. Have a daily practice in terms of making. But when I'm thinking about a body of work and why I would call it that, is that I've always been focused on thinking about exactly where I'm from. Vershawn, I love what you're talking about all the things that happen when we, after we have left the continent, that there's something that happens. I was hired as a professor in the African diaspora at OSU, and I always felt a kind of way about it because my training background is classic modern dance and classical ballet, and my African diaspora training is Black marching band culture, cheerleading rhythms, parades, line dances, gospel, Southness. And I have put that together in my work and been able to name it and label it. but it's not traditional African dance in the context that they were looking for that. And so when I interviewed for that position, that's the first thing that I said, that if you're looking for someone to teach traditional African dance in those, and I know a scholar who calls them Guinea's greatest hits, that's not me. Those are not the things that I know intimately well. And so when I think about my body of work as a choreographer, I talk about it as American South practices, that it deals with the ring shout, it deals with our oral histories. I'm always trying to figure out what other dialects are in the body, how are my aunties in there when I'm making, and how can that exist on the concert stage? And I try to do that in as many ways as possible to show the lushness of Black folks from that region. And that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, a lot of improvisation, a lot of journaling, a lot of coming into conversation and agreement with our histories, positive and negative, my values, positive and negative, thinking about how I'm tethered to history, but also how I'm trying to move forward. And so for any artist who is thinking about what their unique voice is, I would encourage them to really understand that your unique voice is because it comes from you. If I'm making work and thinking about myself as an artist sitting here in Dayton, Ohio, that's now different than the context that I grew up in. And if someone lives across the street, just that distance, that 100-foot distance makes it unique to them. How their lineage is and how they landed up here. And I think there can be an over focus on trying to be different and not enough of getting to know what your gifts are as an artist. So one, just get to know who you are and what you're interested in, and believe in the value of that in the field. Concentrate on that in your craft. And the rest, it does take a little hustle, network hustle. And we can talk about resources and how to connect to folks. That's a real reality of the kind of capitalist community that we have going on here. But in terms of whether or not you want to be a maker, be a choreographer, you just have to decide that's what you want to do, and you have to start making things and making them often.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. And now we're going back to Ms. Millie Cruzat. And Ms. Millie, yes. I just want to what kinds of choices, when I look at your background, you have been what I consider a 360-degree trailblazer. Not only have you danced, you were excellent at tennis. You were in the Operation Push, and you were an activist. So what kinds of choices have you made over the years that have enabled you to thrive as a professional dancer, a dance educator, a role model, and be so active at a time in life where many people have just decided they're just going to retire?
All right. I walked alone. I didn't join a clique, a group of, if I did, I got out because they thought in a box. I don't think in a box. So I had to walk alone. I grew up in a very elite environment in Detroit. I won't go and tell you how elite it was, but everyone was in 1930, everyone was highly educated. Mm. They acted what you might want to say, uppity, snooty, whatever it was, but they had class and style. Now we could use a little of that now. Do we agree, girls? Our boys could learn a little of that. Our girls can learn that. Now, go back to what you were saying to me. All right. Yes. As I said, I grew up around Jewish women and their families. I lived next door to a young lady. Her father was a rag picker. He picked up trash in the alley. And that man moved out of the neighborhood and became rich. Now I tell that story because I'm upset when I see our brothers, the Black Lives Matter, when they trash our property. when they when they burn, tear down. That's not building up. That's tearing down. So back to myself. Yes, I went to New York to study ballet at Carnegie Hall. I was the only, of course, certainly wasn't Black to them. No one Black could be taking ballet at that time. It was sort of sad to see, but it did exist. Then I got a job from a man from Chicago, Larry Steele. Larry Steele Smart Affair. It's a nightclub. You learn all that stuff on the stage, like Beyonce. Only thing, we had a little more clothes on than Beyonce. Okay. But working in a nightclub, that was at first, it was a great experience because it was another world. You work in a nightclub, everyone in the nightclub that came to see it, they were all men. No one was with his wife. So I learned about men and women. Not one man was with his wife, but they were having a ball at the nightclub. But I was hired to dance in the nightclub because I could toe dance. And Larry still wanted to let the people know, oh, we got Black people can toe dance. And that was mine and Cheryl. There was another girl with me, the two of us, and she was from Chicago. She had taken ballet. That was so I learned to move my hips, which I did not do well because I was still doing ballet. But I had to learn how to get into it and listen to the music. As Black as I am, I had absolutely no soul. So I had to learn to have a soul. That was my first step. And I naturally, my friends naturally, they all went to college. So, Mildred, you dance? And they said it in such a negative way. And I thought, how sad. They don't know about life. But that did not bother. It made me march ahead stronger and stronger. Every time someone looked like they were going to put their foot on me, they could never hold me down because my attitude, get a good attitude in life. Our children today need to learn that. An attitude. That means you're kind to yourself and you're kind to the other person. And you can't help but make progress.
Well, you remind me of a quote by James Brown, you know, the great James Brown. He said, the one thing that can solve most of our problems is dance. And you have just said to us that all the way from, 1927, when you say we weren't supposed to be dancing, and to today, you have shown us how dance has been able to help solve our problems, whether that is learning to have more respect for our own property or having respect for ourselves or even staying in shape and having a good attitude. It looks to me that dance has been a vehicle to allow you to do that and to serve as a role model for us.
It is amazing. It was a gift given to me. I didn't know it was a gift. But you see, I'm here at 93. The very people that looked at me and looked down and said, well, I don't want to tell you about them. But because they're not here. Because most of them are not here. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. But no. But it's my, but my journey, like I said, that hadn't stopped, because when I finally got married, I had a sister that insisted I get married. So she picked a very fine young man out for me, and she picked a winner, and I took it. And I had 3 children. And I raised the 3 children. I was athletic as well. I liked tennis, and sports was a big thing. And tennis, Black people weren't supposed to play tennis either. And then, I love that. When someone says you're not supposed to do it or you're not supposed to be here, I'm ready. That's such inspiration to me. It inspires me. It makes me feel mentally stronger and physically stronger. I guess that's why I can take my leg up, cross it over, look at Donna, stand up and do fitness. Everyone wants to be fit like this, don't they?
Well, so let me just ask you this final question before I move on to Miss Laina.
Okay.
So do you actually continue to do dance?
How do you think? I better do this. Your number goes up, you go down.
Okay.
Your number goes up, your body goes.
Okay.
So all these little cute girls that they're young and think they're cute. Got it? If you want to be proud of what you've done and what you've had, you have to work at it and for it the rest of your life. It becomes a way of life.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ms. Millie. So now, Laina Carney, Laina Reese Carney, the educator, choreographer, and performer of dance. I'd like to ask you a question. You recently completed a master's thesis, and you actively blend dance, performance, and choreography along with scholarship. So that's a triple threat. Now, can you tell us what made you pursue a master's degree in dance, and how do you combine your dancing, your scholarship, and choreography and still remain humble? I threw that one in there. I figured you a triple threat.
Thank you, Donna. It's going to be hard to follow Ms. Millie's act right there too, let me tell you. Okay, so I will say, I first wanted to pursue an MFA because I wanted to find like a safe space to pursue my artistry and to make dances. As Crystal was saying earlier, I also wanted to find a way to decolonize my own body. I have been trained in ballet and modern dance rigorously my whole life, and I really felt like in any space I was not Black enough. If I was in that Black space, or I was not white enough or Eurocentric enough, my body was not into that space completely. So I was really in this space of ambiguity, and I wanted to further examine who I was as an artist, what was my choreographic voice. Through that, I really found what I was interested in life, what I wanted to pursue. I really am interested in pop culture. I was really at the beginning of my graduate studies into feminism, which I later developed and discovered was really more so womanism, about the Black female body, into class, into sexuality, into how I can make work about all of those things and make it make sense. I got really into making evening length work and storytelling through the practice. Through that, I really started discovering how can I bring those stories into pedagogy, into my teaching. And I developed a love for it. And I really realized how much Black women and Black bodies in general are needed in higher education. And if we're going to decolonize higher ed and dance, we are needed in the space. I'm really interested in how to blend technicality, which has always been like a high priority and something I really valued in dance, with athleticism, with pedestrian actions, things that I've learned from like my postmodern training. How do I blend that with things like social dance and dances of the diaspora. I love how Crystal said, when they hire you, and I found my appointment as well, they ask, we want somebody who teaches African dance or can do, check that box for us. And you really have to come in and say, this is my lived experience, and these are the dances that live through my body in culmination with the training that I've had. So that's where I found, and from that I chose to really dig deep into my jazz training and really find what those social dances were. I love when she talks about the ring shout, when we talk about, things like body percussion, where those things come and how we make dances from there. So been really interested in that. And that's how, everything kind of came together. Improvisation is another thing that I've really got into in grad school, and making dance from an authentic voice. And that's where I am now with that. So in terms of writing, I just began to write about my process and process what those things mean to me inside the creative space, my creative process, and in conjunction with research, what has happened to Black bodies over time? What does it mean to live in this space of ambiguity and these Eurocentric practices mixed with these Africanist ideals that we're fighting for? So that's really where I am right now, and where everything takes place. So it's I would consider extremely multifaceted in terms of my artistry and what I could want to continue to produce and put out there, which really shows the intersectional nature of the Black woman. So.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. And you said something about the decolonization in dance. And that brings me to something that I was reading the other day about this gentleman. I hope I don't butcher his name, Jaquel Knight. He's a choreographer, and I believe he actually choreographed the Single Ladies dance for Beyonce. And one of the things that he said, and I want to ask each of you this question, and so you can just, jump to the floor and respond. One of the things that he mentioned is that he wanted to use dance as a form of activism. So with the current climate in our country and even around the world, I want to ask you a question about how you think artists and dance can have an impact in the current social and political climate. So each of you, I won't even just call anyone out. I just want you guys to just think about it and then let us know, because a lot of people who don't really, I think, know about dance thinks that dance is just the body, but dance really to me is a language and an expression. And I believe that you all who are trained and have lived this experience could share with us what you think as far as dance helping from an activism standpoint.
I was just gonna, well, I'll just say that I consider myself an artivist. Red Clay uses that word to describe both our teachers, our performers, anyone that works with the organization, even of our youth. Artivism is the idea of art and activism as a fusion, and it is an intentional, purposeful way that you use your art. And I think that the other thing I would like to say, and I'm definitely borrowing this from Dr. Brenda Dixon Gothschild, is that the Black body dancing liberated is political, right? So just the Black body dancing itself in a liberated form, uplifting our techniques, right? Because you hear this word technique thrown out around a lot, and it's generally in a specific way, but technique is simply the way of doing something. So there are multiple techniques within any form of dance, and all of them are needed as a young dancer is developing. So I think that the Black body dancing liberated is activism. It is artivism. It is all the things, because our bodies are already politicized. It's in every moment of our lives, there's a politics around it. So that's the short answer that I would share, is that just approaching your dance training, activating your voice, elevating the forms that you are drawn to, and not letting anyone tell you that those forms aren't valid. That is activism. That is really charting your own path through your training and your artistry. So I'll just share that. So
Great. Well, I'm waiting for it because I know that the other three aficionados can add to that conversation about dance. Especially, I looked at your resume, Miss Millie. I know that you were an activist, so I'm waiting for you to talk about that notion of using dance and how it can impact current social and political climate from the three of you remaining.
Yes. Yes, I'm very political because I said, I told you, I marched, sat in the 50s with all the people that were fighting for their rights. I saw that, and I remember one time I was walking in a march going down Michigan Avenue. I was probably one of the few Black that was in the parade. The other Blacks were on the side watching me march by. And I was saddened by seeing that. But as I said, it just encouraged me that I was doing something right. I am now with the Chicago Contemporary Dance Theater. They have won many awards in competition. The children are from 8 to 16. I work with the children that are 8, 9, and 10. The parents beg to have me teach them because they feel that just dancing alone is not everything. When you use your body, you have to use your mind. And most dancers, I'm amazed at the kids today, in any dancing, what Afro, whatever it is, they all pick up routines quickly. There's no hesitation, and they are enjoying it. They're enjoying the moment. A lot of things today, you can't enjoy the moment. But when you're dancing, you don't see an unhappy person on the stage. These little children, everyone should see them perform. And the school is run by 4 Black women. I met them 4 years ago, just walked into the studio. And they said, would you come in and would you start teaching? I was so proud. And I've been with them ever since. They have added, like I said, dancing has every decade, I take a step forward or higher. I make it count. Dancing that I don't particularly like or don't know, like when I took Martha Graham, her technique, I still use it. The contractions, the core. I use my core and my back. So when on the stage, all I have to do is walk on the stage. But I make a statement. Now, our children, I don't care what dance, because everything's hip hop now. Oh, okay, but it's another technique, and it's not easy. Mm-hmm. But when they go into that arena, dancing, ballet ain't all it, hip hop ain't all it, Afro is all it. So the best thing is to try to do some of it. And don't turn your nose up or head turned. Be proud. I've been proud with every step I've taken. When I was with Joseph Holmes, I had to learn Graham and Afro. Well, I struggled with both, but I was a better person at the end. Include it in your life. We get so caught up in being one person or one thing. It's not one person and one thing, because I'm not. I'm many things. Everything has some richness. Figure it out, learn it, watch it, and use it.
Thank you, Miss Millie. So now I'm going to give Crystal and Laina a chance to actually tell us whether you think artists and dancers can have an impact in the current social and political climate.
Absolutely. I think the question is, what is it looking like in the future, and how can we make space for future generations to do it and do it differently? When the first shutdowns happened in March, and our Black Lives Matter movement were coming to a different kind of fever pitch, right? One that everybody could feel, and whether they cared about it or not, had to participate. It was in their faces. We all started making, not we all, some folks started making statements about how they were going to participate in that. And I found myself wondering how like the organization that I come from would participate in a statement kind of conversation, where we had been asking for, over 50 years as an organization, what is your action towards these same things? A lot of times I say, it's a really powerful place as Black dancers in motion to have the attention of an audience for a period of time, uninterrupted, whether that's in the theater, whether it's site-specific, interdisciplinary, whatever your thing is that you do. What you're doing is being witnessed for a particular amount of time, where you get to say what you believe about the world and what you want folks to do. And that's one way of protest. But my students are always surprised that I'm following what they are doing now. I believe in the work when they go out and march in the street and they share these dances and they shift vibrations. And on TikTok, they call each other out and they learn these dances, and they get into conversations about feminism and Blackness and gender and equality in social media context. I follow it. I don't have the same cultural quickness, that agility that they have to participate on those levels. But I think that they know what kind of world that they want as artists. And I think they should demand it of the people who are teaching them and the audiences that are watching them, what they want and how they want to be talked to, and what it is that they need. They are responsible. And I'm seeing myself as a pedagogue trying to hold that space, and as a choreographer, hold that space for them to make with me and near me, because it matters. Who was talking earlier? Laina, I think you were talking earlier about, just being in the academy and leading more Black women in the academy. And I think as soon as we can free them up and empower them, future generations, to do what we know that they are called to do, then we can get down to the activist work. We can get down to asking for the things that we need to get down to. We can participate in conversations that shape how we are given money and resources, and where students and artists are seen, where else can dance exist? That's a part of our activism. But I think every generation has to be responsible for reframing and also giving room as we reframe, right, in the context. Because even as a 50-year organization, we have some issues with activism. And that's the thing we all have to think about, what do you risk to participate in the conversation?
Okay. Laina, did you want to add to that conversation?
For sure.
Yes.
There's no doubt about it that artists should be and are capable of empowering the masses, through activism. I mean, what a time right now to be alive, following the Black Lives Matter movement and this uproar of the largest civil rights movement, right, that we've ever seen globally. you know, right now, I feel like my biggest role right now is to empower my students to feel like they have a voice, to fight against this, like, you know, the mainstream whitewashing of academia, but of the social climate in general. What I want to continue to do is make work about this and put it on stages and what is not traditionally on. For example, we have our dance concert opening up actually tonight in 30 minutes, and it's a stream for 3 days. I made a piece this semester, Say Her Name, which was in response to the to raise awareness for Black female victims of police brutality and anti-Black violence in the United States. So if it's stuff like that, you know, like having my students actually read material like Arrested Justice, you know, and learn about females that are in the face of police brutality every day, and to really see what their job is as the future generation of artists, educators, dancers, performers, choreographers. What is your role, and what are you going to do next about this? Definitely amplifying those voices through choreography. I mean, you know, anytime I get to do something in class that can amplify Black voices, I will do so. If it calls for an assignment that gets someone to know about something that they did not before. So it's really putting that into these spaces that are historically anti-Black, and how we're continuously fighting against those themes every day. So that is where I align in my work right now, and continually making work about not only how I feel, but how I feel as a Black woman in society, not just my political views, right? But now that we've kind of got over that first hurdle of the change of administration, how do we continue to project our voices every day? So.
Okay, so since I have been the one benefiting from asking all the questions, I'm going to ask one more, and then want to give our audience, I'm going to pivot back to Kia, and we're going to allow the audience members to actually ask questions. But I just want to give one more, well, two quick ones in. First of all, Crystal, you spoke about the shutdowns and what that's done. I want to know, how have you guys, and if you can just tell me quickly, how you have pivoted to continue to ensure the impact of dance in your lives in light of COVID and the shutdown?
The real pivot is just how we provide content. That's the thing that people are really asking about when they say, how have you pivoted? The internal work has been a daily community conversation, whether I'm at the university or with the company, or I'm thinking about my own work. How can we keep doing what we do so that it is there for the next generation? And it also preserves, you know, what we were up to. It's changed a little bit of what we think is important, what I think is important, who we're giving opportunities to, how much more I speak up in spaces. The creative process has shifted in that way. But we're also thinking about content conversations, but those feel, just to Crystal, not as a representation of any organization, those are feeling less and less important to me as the days go on. And I am wanting to lean into process and into conversations that might change some of the things that really matter, might change policy, might change dollars, might change safety, might change awareness. And I think that that's the kind of internal pivot we're having as an organization. Where it all lands, I think still feels a little bit vibratory, because of just depending on where you live and what your rules are and how you're able to present as a, you know, people who make work where people gather around it. But what it's about, and whether or not it has a connection to people who want to see it, is just becoming increasingly more important. And so it's less of a pivot. It's, for me, it's more like a dig in. Don't let go.
Okay, that's good. Does anyone else want to address that question, or they want me to move on to my final question before I pivot the stage back to Ms. Kia? Because if you don't want to answer that question, I do have another one that I just made up myself, because this has been so informative for me. And listening to you, I came here with an appreciation of the arts. I love to watch dance. I love to see how you can express so much with your bodies. And so now I think about this notion of STEM turning to STEAM. Before everybody was talking about how important math is, science, technology, and then they realized that we needed to feed the whole person and said we needed to change that and add the A for art. So I would just like to finish my questioning and ask each of you if you could just give me, even if it's a sentence or a word or whatever, to say why is art in the form of dance just as important as math when it comes to educating our students? Okay, I'm gonna start. Okay, let me start. Let me start alphabetically again. So I'm gonna start with Laina. Can you just give me some pearls of wisdom in regards to that? Because I know we likely have students on this Zoom presentation.
Well, I will say, first of all, I don't know anyone who didn't enjoy art class the most in school, first of all. So that's the first thing. And I think I look at schools every day. I mean, how we are training our dance educators, and every year more schools are realizing we need to integrate dance and music, the visual arts into our curriculum, because our test scores are higher when we do so. So that's the first thing to say. It alludes to a more, cultivating experience. I will say, first, follow your dreams, right? Like, that's the first thing. If whatever you're interested in is what you're going to be the most successful. I was always more interested in getting out of school and in commuting to Joel Hall and getting to dance class than I was being in math, although I always had A's in math. You will have to use math every day, right? So that's not something that is, I would say, follow your dreams. That's the first thing I'm saying, because we're comparing it to arts and science, the sciences and math, but I think those you use those in dance as well. I'm always telling my students, think about this combination as if you're putting together an equation, right? And so I think there's something there. I don't want to compare, right, career paths. However, I would say the arts is something that is continually feeding into our social lives and the lives we live every day. We just talked about how dance is a language, right? Arts is a language. And I would say it's something everyone can understand. So I'll just start with, that's such a loaded question, but I would say artistry is the way. So.
Okay, thank you so much. Ms. Millie?
Good. Look, she said, follow your dream.
Yeah.
That is very helpful. It works with our children because they usually don't quite understand everything. They're trying to find something, but she made it very simple. It is following your dream because you work harder at it. You can see some results, and don't mind if someone criticizes. If it's your dream, you move on. It's been helpful to me because I know it's been that way ever since I was 4 years old, and it worked. They can't imagine some of the things that could have been, because when I got into a musical in New York, at that time, 1950, Blacks weren't doing musical. Blacks weren't doing anything, nothing. So I was in Shuffle Along. It was a musical that was revived after it was first done in 1924. And they revived it. In that cast, there were, Rock Peters was in it, a fine individual actor. you meet such wealthy, I call them wealthy people, because they do have a certain amount of wealth that they bring, but a lot of us don't recognize it, and they don't notice it, and the arts has it. If it's not in music, painting, and just so many things. And now they found out that Afro-American Black women have a certain amount of beauty. Now all I see on television are Black beautiful women on television. 3 years ago, I saw none. So it's a very sad, it takes a while for people to feel comfortable. And they got to make sure that the next person is comfortable as they are. They don't know that they can be an individual to accept it, to accept a Black woman. I am so proud what I have seen the Black women do in the past year. And I hope Black men will see it too. They've got to stand up and step forward, because the Black women, I can't tell you, every time I hear a Black woman speak on television, they speak with such dignity and class that Black man could learn some of that. And maybe he can respect us like they should.
Thank you, Miss Millie. So I want to move on to Crystal.
Miss Millie, I'm gonna have to send you my husband so y'all can hang out and he can show you some of that they're talking about. Those Black men exist. They do. I believe in them. I am thinking about the benefit. My sister played the piano growing up, and I fell asleep listening to that on the other side of the wall. She was a kind of a late night person, and I took dance classes, and we did that, for a very long time. And both of us are still artists in our adult life. Some folks I know, particularly my students of color, have a hard time trying to figure out who they want to be in the world. And I got to know early. And I think that that's one of the things that the arts does, and having access to it when you are young. Outside of science, math, engineering, all of those other things in STEM that you open the question with, these are some of the other intelligences in the arts. A body intelligence is a thing. And I think the sooner that students are exposed to all the possibilities of where their gifts and their intelligence might lie, they'll be able to see their value. And for me, that's what it's really about, having the arts included equally in our educational system, is so that folks can figure out where their gifts are, where their calling is, so that they can then add to the world and add to our communities.
Perfect, thank you. And so I'm going to go to Vershawn before I have to pivot back to Kia, because she's going to fire me as a moderator. But so Vershawn, I'd like to get your feedback.
Sure, I'll be quick. I think for me, dance is a embodied visceral experience, and we move through this world in our bodies. There is a need to be connected, mind, body, and spirit, that dance gives you that other classes and things won't. So I think, and then the last thing I'll say is just creativity. In all of those, STEM, whatever, creativity is needed. Innovation is needed. And dance allows you to experience that inside of these vessels that we move through the world in. I think there are so many folks that are separated from their bodies and don't know how to connect with themselves, and dance allows you to do that. And it also allows you to learn how to connect and share space with other human beings, which I think is also something that's important for youth and adults to learn and connect back to. So even as we're in this space, right, physically distanced, but what does it mean to move back and shared space with other people? And dance gives you that knowledge of how to share space, how to share the world with other people and other folks. So the creativity piece and the connecting to your body and understanding how it connects to another body, valuing that body and valuing your own. And I think dance teaches that. So that's my input.
So I just want to say, Laina Carney, Millie Cruzat, Crystal Michelle Perkins, Vershawn Sanders Ward, I want to thank you for allowing me to be in the room where it happened, because I really enjoyed today being your moderator. And now I want to bring back to the stage Kia Smith. You're on mute.
Sorry, it wasn't working. You guys, thank you so much. I'm like so nervous even speaking in front of these 4 women. Like I'm so inspired by all of them. So thank you guys for being here. I just wanted to open up the floor for questions. So I'm looking at the chat right now. If you can type in a question, I'll ask whoever you want the question to go to. I want to do it this way so we don't have a lot of people talking at once. And then we don't miss anyone. So if you have a question for any of the panelists, please put it in the chat. And we will ask away. And if I don't see any questions, I'm going to call out somebody I know on here to ask a question. One of my students, maybe. How about Jessie? Jessie, are you still there? Jessie is a young choreographer from Kenwood Dance Project. Do you want to ask anyone a question?
Sure, of course. Hi guys, I'm Jesse. Thank you so much for just opening the space up, and thank you, Ms. Kia, for this, because this is honestly awesome, and I didn't know what to expect, and this is just really, really great. I have a question for Miss Millie Cruzat. My question is, how did you? Sorry, my grandma's talking in the background. Let me change rooms real quick. Okay.
I got you.
My question is, how did you persevere through the time period that you did, where there was such heavy Eurocentrism pushed through the media, and even today? Like, how do you still keep your faith?
Everyone likes my energy and the way I smile, talk. I seem happy. Well, I am. This is what dance has given me. I ain't got a penny from it. We get paid the least. But look at us. Look at our bodies. Look at us. We can smile. We can smile through our eyes. And we can look at others. We don't have to look at the same group or the same people. We look outside. We try to see everything. And we know that we as Blacks have been pushed back, stay back, don't come forward. And they've been quietly coming forward and more forward. And I love my 3 Black panelists. It was an honor to hear your opinion, yours and yours. It was a wealth of information, and we all need to learn many things from one another. Are you dancing, young man? Are you a dancer?
I am.
Yes, I think I've seen you on the stage. Carly, was it Aliyah Brooks? Carly.
And Diva.
And Laya. Kalia. I've seen you up on the stage. And like I said, it was the arts need to be supported more and respected more. But as I said, when I came up, none of this existed. Absolutely none. So we have made strides, and we have made And we're going to keep making them, aren't we, girls? Aren't we, ladies? Yes. And sergeant and gentlemen, are you in school now?
I am. I'm a junior in high school.
Oh, gee, I saw. So what will your major be in school?
I have no idea.
You have no idea. Okay, that's understandable. And it's think of a couple of things, but never let the dancing, don't let it leave you. Don't let it leave your body. Because I know what you get out of when you include it in your lifestyle. I can tell you because I'm 93. You don't get it. If you don't do it, you lose it. You've heard that, haven't you? And that is very true. So whatever career you have, you keep that included in your lifestyle because it helps you not only physically, but it helps you mentally. I can't tell you what it does to you mentally. It gives you that thing that my mother gave me. It gives you common sense. You know how to include it all. And since you dance, you see outside the box. Good luck to you.
Thank
I'm
you.
very proud. I'm very proud. It's nice to hear a male's voice.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I hope maybe to see you, next year. You might perform one more year, right? Okay, hope to see you then, okay?
We have time for one more question before we have to end. Does anyone else want to ask a question? Any of the students from Breeze Dance Place? Reagan, I see Reagan's here. Any students or adults, anyone want to ask a question before we log off? No questions? Okay, everybody. Well, thank you so much to Vershawn and Lane. Oh,
I want to know if I can make a comment. Can I make a comment to Jessie?
Oh, of course, of course.
I just want to say, I wanted to speak to your testament of his choreography. I just have to say it. You are absolutely incredible. I have seen your work. Your piece was incredible. My daughter had the opportunity to dance in one of your pieces. My daughter, I'm Kalia Muhammad's mom. So if you
Hi.
and your work, honey, was hot. So this young man, absolutely incredible. Keep doing what you're doing.
So he does choreography.
Thank you.
Oh,
Absolutely.
you got, go for it. Oh my God, this is quite a.
Okay, everyone. So yeah, we're gonna close now, but I just wanted to thank you again for Vershawn and Laina and Crystal and Miss Millie and Miss Donna. Thank you so much for being here. This is our first South Chicago Dance Festival panel. We hope to have many more. This is the first event of the week. So tomorrow there's a master class for high school students with Joshua Ishman from Deeply Rooted Dance Theater. Thursday there's a class on Instagram at I think it's at 6 o'clock. It's a novice jazz class for anyone to kind of log on and take it. Friday, we have our youth concert, and those tickets are available at scdfyouth.eventbrite.com. And Saturday is our company concert. So we have some great work happening all week long. So I thank you guys so much for coming out, and I hope you have a good rest of your week.
Kia, you have somebody who says, wait, I have a question in
Oh,
your
sorry,
chat.
Bree.
I know you're in. I'm so sorry.
Sorry, Bree. Somebody from Breeze Dance Place.
A question about ballet. Like, if you're not confident enough in ballet, what advice would you give me?
Who did you want to ask that question to? Just the panel in general?
In general.
Anybody? She said
ballet.
Sure. Go ahead, Miss Millie.
I see this all the time because I'm working with our children, the Black children, all kinds of children. Anyway, you have to have ballet, some kind of ballet, whether you like it or not. And but as I said, you have to learn something else. But when you go for auditions, that little ballet knowledge shows on the stage. I don't care if you do an Afro, hip hop, whatever. That ballet will show its little head. But you don't have to be a ballet dancer. But like I said, there are so many dancers dancing now that I didn't even know of. So you have to do hip hop. Everything is required today. It's everything. When you go for an audition, everything is required.
Can I offer something also really quickly? Is it Bree? Bree, I want you to do some journaling and ask yourself where that lack of confidence comes from. What are you not confident about? Is it body shape?
It's my body shape. I'm just so skinny. It's like when I look at myself and I look like while I'm upright or just like lifting up, it looks weird.
Your body is amazing. It is the one that was given to you by God in the universe. You have to learn to love it while you are training. You have to learn to love it, and you have to learn all of these techniques, whether it's ballet or modern or contemporary or hip hop. As you are training, you have to learn to love yourself inside of them. I work at a repertory company, and that's what we spend our time doing. How do you see you in your training? Find good mentors who believe in the body that you're in. Find healthy dance communities that believe in the body that you're in. And it'll come, that confidence will come with time. That'll come with time, but be around healthy people and have a healthy body image, because the body you got is the one you got.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much again for coming. And thank you again, Miss Donna, for moderating.
My pleasure.
All right, everyone.
Good night.
Good
night.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great job. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Good night.
Nice